Citizens, it's that time. You are officially in the incinerator. Welcome to Incense and Common Sense, the live streams that we do here in the Alert Zone. I want to say shout out to everybody tonight, and I want to say thank you to everybody that shows up, that watch the replay, and that like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff. So, give you guys and girls a minute to come in. As you come in, please hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Hope everybody is having a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are across the world, because this is a worldwide movement. So, got the incense lit, the ceremonial with incense. Let me get this in here. So, we are on location tonight, folks. I'm gonna shout out the state of Florida. I am right now. What's up, Lee? What's going on? I'm good. I'm gonna shout out the state of Florida. I am currently in the state of Florida right now. So definitely give everybody a minute to show up. Thanks for hitting that like button for me. Just shout out to everybody, man. To everybody that love the Alert Zone, what you see here. Shout out to all GunTube, definitely. All the Second Amendment channels. You guys seen the title already, so you already know what this is gonna be about. And as I go through this, when I get into it, I'm gonna tell you what the aspiration of this video is, and what even made me actually just say I was gonna go ahead and go live or do a live stream, or hell, even really just mention this. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen probably the thousands of live streams and video, the millions of videos about this. And I wasn't sure, should I publicly do a live stream or even a video about it. And as I started seeing it, because I was driving when I actually heard about this. Shout out to TBA. I was going through Iowa and Sunday night when I actually heard that this even happened. I didn't even know about it. But because I was driving, I didn't get to see it. When I got parked Sunday night, I actually got to see it. And then I started searching multiple channels. Then yesterday was when I really got to see, okay, this is what actually went on. So then I started going to different platforms, watching different news clippings on it and reading about it and going into the comment sections and stuff like that. And then I kept analyzing the videos. And yesterday, last night on The Business, they showed the wide angle of this. So I actually got to see pretty much right now what exists of the total situation. Like from the first punch and how that came about. And I'm a kind of course you won't see the video here because I'm pretty sure you've seen it. If not, when this is over with, then you can go see the video for yourself. But there's something in that video I want to get to, because when I started the Alert Zone, I felt there was a need and that I would be the one to take whatever slings and arrows come, because I understand it's not always popular what we talk about here. But I always think about new firearm owners and people getting into that, and I don't want to give them a false sense of security, and I don't want to lie to them or put them in harm's way by not telling them certain things they may not know. And I'll get to, what is going on, Leslie, the lethal man. Okay. Appreciate you for showing up. Hit that like button. And it plays to something that I talk about here in the alert zone. And let me just say this before I dive into tonight's subject. For the people that's new, that see this, that never seen it before. I live in Iowa. I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I spent the first 30 years of my life there. Well, the first 29 out of 30 there. Because I spent the year in Fort Worth, Texas after Hurricane Katrina. So, my experience has been a lot different in the sense of I grew up in a city that was 80% black. And now I live in a town that's only 1% black. So it's like a big culture shock. Is a major drastic change. And I got a chance to look at things from the outside and to see how everybody else see us on top of my own experiences. And that's where you get a lot of the content from this channel, because it's my own experience, and then I can always point you in the direction of where you do your research. Because hold on a second, got a book handy right here, The Color of Law, book I'm reading right now. Yeah, I haven't finished it because I got so much going on, but when any good author, when they quote certain sources, they'll send you to where they got that from. So when you read something in a book, a good book that's written for you will show you where we got the sources and the proof from, so you can double and triple check it, so you don't be out spewing things that's not true. So because I haven't gotten to the point where I'm learn how to, get video together and post it, I'm working on all that. I'm a tech dinosaur. Nevertheless, my experiences has taught me something, and I've seen something, and it took me to get away from home to see it. And that's kind of the gist of what tonight is about. But for those of you who don't know, out in Montgomery, Alabama, there was a situation, and I'll explain the situation. And on the riverfront, there was one of those riverboats. In New Orleans, we have quite a few Creole Queen and Delta Queen and a couple more of those steamships with the paddle on the back, the old paddle boat style deal. And what they do is they kind of sail around to specific places, and you get on there and you eat and different things like that, and you get to experience all that. And well, I guess the boat wanted to dock, and there was somebody who had driven their private pontoon boat in the dock area. And according to what I saw, from what I heard, read, and then what I actually saw, the wide lens video, where you see the whole thing, when the owner of the pontoon boat came to confront the security guard, when he walked up to the security guard, two guys walked by, and then a third one. The guy with no shirt walked up, and the woman walked up. So the security guard, Palm Beach in the house, huh? Palm Beach, Florida? Okay. Well, I'm in the Tampa area. Just say that. I'm in the Tampa area. Nevertheless, the argument started between who appears to be the owner of the boat, the guy with the shirt on, and the security guard. And the security guard is explaining to him, you can just see from the motions, he can't park there. Move, you can't park here. Hit the likes button when you come in, by the way. And then the guy with no shirt sneaks. So this tells me this was a planned attack. That's why everybody else call it a brawl, but I called it an ambush after I saw that wide lens video, because it explains where these other guys came from and how it wound up being 6-on-1 at first. This was planned. If you ask me, if you go back and you see the wide lens video of them walking by the security guard and hiding like behind this wall, and when the fight breaks out, they come out of nowhere and they rat packing him and what have you. And then you have the brothers show up. Well, the fight continued. Then you had the employee. So it's my understanding the guys that had like the kind of like royal blue t-shirts on in black was the employees that worked in there. You had the one employee in the original fight that tried to break it up, and the one guy turned him around. He was a kind of chunky white kid and punched him in the stomach, basically to tell him, get out of here. Then the one brother showed up, but he didn't show up throwing hands. All he was trying to do was break it up. And it was moving him and wouldn't stop. And then the cavalry showed up. And then it turned into a fair fight, a fist fight. The boat docked, and you had some brothers take their shirts off and jump off the paddle boat to come to this pontoon boat because everybody had been seeing what was going on to even up the odds. An incident happened on that boat, and then it spewed out onto the pier. What's going on, my brother T Electric? Shout out to the president of Gun Freak Nation, man. I'll message you later. I'm gonna just leave it at that. But these other guys, the two who pulled the first sneak attack, salute to you, went and hid back under the pier. So when the brothers turned around to jump on the rest of the guys that was jumping on the security guard, they tried to sneak from the back, and the brothers turned around and put the Mickeys on them. So, it broke into a whole brawl. Once they finally got that broken up, and the brawl moved upstairs to the older folks. The people that you can tell they was dressed, they must have been out of the crew, whatever they was doing. And the fist fight broke out, and you seen the chair and everything, and I forgot to mention the young man that swam across the water to help out. So after all that spewed up to the older crowd, the fist went to flying, and then the chair came out. And they didn't discriminate. But that's not why I'm talking about this. This live stream is about something I've always mentioned on the last channel, and I've mentioned it here. And it may not be a popular thing to talk about, but it needs to be addressed because it's true. I told you guys and girls out there, I wouldn't talk about certain things if they didn't happen, because I'm not making it up. I talked to you guys and girls about the guy down here in Florida. Goodness, Publix in Jacksonville held me up, so I didn't really get my notes together like I should have. But nevertheless, I told you about the guy down here in Florida on the 4th of July that had the guys accost him as soon as he walked in the parking lot. He was a regular of that strip mall. He went in the smoke shop to avoid a situation. And they went in there and picked with him, and they left, and they came back, and he defended himself, and they took him to jail. Now, mind you, Florida, the stand your ground state. Remember, Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin, as you come in, I see we got 8 people in here. Shout out to y'all. Hit the likes button. Get the likes up. We got 8 people in here. Let's get 8 likes. Trayvon Martin ran for his life. George Zimmerman ran him down and gunned him down. And it was racial because Zimmerman said so. Zimmerman is on the 911 call calling him a fucking coon. Nevertheless, he used stand your ground, and he got away with that. And that sent a message that a lot of black people know, but we don't talk about openly, especially on social media platforms, because we have people that come to our channels and pages from all different walks of life. And as black people, we are afraid of offending non-black people. I'm gonna tell some truths tonight that's gonna be uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. We are afraid of making non-black people uncomfortable around us, even if it's true. We're afraid to. We're afraid to make them uncomfortable. We'll make other black people uncomfortable and love it. But I've always told you guys and girls, back to the guy down in Florida, he defended himself and they took him to jail. The same Florida where the white woman shot the black woman through the door, and it took a week of basically protesting to even get her charged with manslaughter, and she made it clear it was racial. She said that it was racial, and they didn't charge her with a hate crime. The gist of tonight's video was to point something out. If you go back, if you haven't seen the video, and if you have and you haven't paid attention, what makes me speak on this is, you remember I did the video, I've probably done a couple videos on this channel about the rights to self-defense. When law enforcement showed up, they passed all the white folks up and went straight to the black people and started hassling them first. Go back and watch the video. The security guard was the original victim. The officer let the white guy go by, and he went straight up to the security guard and pointed his gun or his taser in his face. The security threw his hands up and basically had to say, I'm the victim. They came and hassled us first. And I'm going to tell you why. Since this country's inception, we've never been shown as civilized. We've always been shown as the savages. We've always been shown as the criminals in this country. The belief that we want to practice self-defense, you can say what you want. Yes, it's there on paper, but everybody knows I said something here on this show, and I'm going to continue to say it until it stops being true. We don't basically have the right to protect ourselves. If we have to defend ourselves from a non-black person, in the back of our mind, especially if they're white, it doesn't matter if it costs me my life. If I defend myself, I'm probably going to go to jail. Which is why we always go the opposite way. Part of the reason I tell y'all, besides you don't know what somebody else have on them, part of the reason I say try and avoid trouble is, at the end of the day, is it worth sitting in prison over? Me, myself, personally, I told you guys about the public hunt land I just finally stopped going to. Checking in from San Diego, Eyes and Ears. We got my boy, Eyes and Ears Tactical up in here. Everybody get a shout out to Eyes and Ears. Make sure you go and subscribe to his channel if you're not subscribed, because he be dropping some fire content, and he's in California on the ground. But this whole thing about us defending our life, we always have to keep that in the back of our head. Even if we're not the aggressor, when law enforcement show up, they've been trained. We're the aggressor. That's all the time. When they show up, we're always the first one that they grab and throw on the ground. There was a case down here in Florida, I believe, where it was on video in a Waffle House. You had that black fella sitting down eating, and you had that group of white guys up in there picking a fight with him. He had his firearm, he had his permit. He went where he can load his firearm up. And they came back and they called themselves attacking him. He used his firearm and defended himself. One of the guys wound up dying. After this guy defended himself, the first thing he did was throw his firearm on the ground and get on the ground. Because he knew when law enforcement came up, they was gonna accost him first. Because this whole thing about we're not supposed to protect ourselves has gotten out of hand. Now, this happened down in Alabama. I'm going to tell you something else that I want everybody to take into consideration. And how all this stuff always connects, even though a lot of people want to turn a blind eye to it. Law enforcement has helped perpetuate this negative stereotype and given cover to people to attack us and say, well, just let it go. Just let it go, or you're making a big deal about nothing. You understand what I'm saying? So, what made them pull that? What all in this day and age, all these cameras and all these people around here, what do you want to bet that's not the first time they pulled a stunt like that? I'll bet anybody anything. That's not the first time that group has pulled a stunt like that. This one just got videotaped, and this guy just wind up having backup that they didn't think about, because this was an ambush. Go back and watch that video. That was an ambush. You're right. That's the biggest culprit. And I don't want to just focus on the racial element, but that's what it turned out to be. It turned out to be a racial thing because of them, not because of us. Like I said, shout out to the business. Somebody turned in a widescreen version of what actually happened, and you can see these guys getting together to ambush him. This was a planned Rat Pack attack. It just didn't go as planned. They thought, well, we're gonna attack this guy, we're gonna kick his ass, we're gonna show him who's boss, and we're gonna let it be. Another thing we need to discuss while I'm on this subject, and some people may find this video to be offensive, and it may offend them. I might even lose subscribers, and I understand that. Another thing I talk about when I talk about law enforcement, and I've mentioned this several times, most people don't respect black officers. The world is not used to seeing black people in an authoritative position over non-black people. So the mere fact that this black security guard went up to those white folks and told them move that boat was basically, that was his crime, that he did it. That was the crime. The crime wasn't that they wanted that boat moved or they didn't want to move that boat. Is that how dare you fucking come up here and tell me what to do? I want to fucking hear what you got to say. Think about that. Like I said, I live in Iowa, and it took me moving away from home to see that in real time, to be on the job and see how when one of us became the supervisor, how the crew would lay down on the fucking supervisor. When he became black or she became black, the crew would lay down on him. Or the crew would say, I don't like him or her being a supervisor. And when you ask why, they would say, just because. It's because nobody's used to seeing us in an authoritative position. Rodney King, all of them got acquitted. Yeah. And remember, Rodney King, after they hit him about 30 times, reached his hand up. They considered that fighting back, and that was the basis of how they got off with beating Rodney King. The mere fact that he raised his hand up, they say, you see, he was fighting back. That condones what we did. At the end of the day, because most people are not used to seeing us in an authoritarian position over non-black people, they find it insulting. And they just find like, you see it? Yeah, can't we all get along, huh? You see it? Some of y'all who see this video might have seen it on your job before. Because you know, we always talk about how when you become the supervisor, you gotta work twice as hard. You got 10 times many people coming after you. You gotta think about that. The very same people who will sit down and bring lunch for you and have lunch with you on the job will be as cool with you as long as you don't become their supervisor. Once you become their supervisor, oh no, nah. Guns don't argue. I'm telling facts. I'm telling facts here. I know it may ruffle some feathers, but I'm telling facts here. At the end of the day, the mere fact that this black security guard told them they had to move was their biggest issue. This is down in Alabama. Now, I'm from Louisiana, so I know what I'm talking about. I've sat down with people that have told me, yeah, no, Nah, we can't ever see y'all being a supervisor. I worked for a place that told me I couldn't be a supervisor because I wasn't white. Hell, I remember when I was doing road construction and I was already 20, 21, 15-year-old white kids coming out there during the summertime to work during the summer, and they have me on a shovel on the ground and they put them on the machine and have them telling me what to do. So that's a part of the gist that I think a lot of people may or may not have thought about. The biggest issue was that this black security guard told them white folks to move their damn boat. And they didn't feel he had the right to tell them that. And it turned into what it turned into. It turned into a racial thing. Because the white guy who showed up to try and stop it, he got punched in the stomach for trying to stop it. So that sends a message to the rest of them. Hey, don't come down here. You're right about that. Guns don't argue. That's what they do. Everything you tell them, yeah, that's true. You know, I'm trying not to go into like a tangent, you know, like go into just, I'm trying to keep it within the context of what happened, but there's some things that I don't think people understand because we've always been seen as the enemy. And I'm gonna tell you something, per the FBI numbers, we the most convicted and the most exonerated. It's a small amount of the black folks that's committing most of the crimes in the community. The recidivism. The majority of us ain't out here looking for trouble. We just want to be left the fuck alone. We want the right to live our lives in peace. Speaking of that, let me explain something to everybody out here that sees this. Because this has been brought up. We hear you, we can never be you. This was brought up. And I'm going to point something out about the people that was up there on the people that was up there. Oh, I'm sorry about that. There's people walking by. The people that was up there that was look like they're the elders of the community. Let me tell everybody out there something about the color white and black people. When I say white, I mean garments. White shoes, white pants, white socks, white shirt, white hat, white dress, white slippers, whatever. The most non-threatening thing on this earth is a black person that got a bunch of white on. You know why? That's our way of letting everybody know we only here for a good time. We're not here to get dirty. We're not here to fight. We're not here to argue. All we want to do is eat, party, and go the fuck home. All them people that had white on and white accessories, that sister that had that white, look like all into one, she did not get dressed to go out there and fight. I'm going to tell you that right now. She probably would have been one of the most non-threatening people out there by the mere fact she had white on. Back when I was young, matter of fact, put a thumbs up in the chat if you watching in the incinerator and if what I'm telling you is the truth. Back in the days when we would wear white shirts, white cotton shirts, we would have our tank tops on under there, and we would take our white shirt off and set it down when we went to the barbecue because we don't want to get nothing on our clothes. When dudes would come out with their new white shoes on, that was to let you know, hey, I ain't out here to get dirty, man. Man, you want to play football? Not my new white shoes. You must be crazy. New Orleanians, Mardi Gras time. When dudes came out the house and chicks were white on and say, let's go to the parade, that's their way of telling you, I ain't going out there and hustle for nothing. I'm going to the parade to say I'm out there. I won't hear the band and I won't chill. I got my new white kicks on, or I got these white pants I just bought, or I got this white polo I'm rocking or what have you. I ain't trying to get dirty. I ain't even trying to go nowhere where we're gonna get in a fight because I got this on. You can tell a lot by us about when we get dressed, what kind of mood we in. Now, if it come down to it, we will kick some ass, but that's not what we're going out there for. Soldier Reebok tennis, you got that. $64.99 at Foot Locker. You got a pair of white soldiers on, ain't no getting dirty. Hold on, everybody. Oh, okay. Oh, they gonna leave. I'm sorry, they doing shift change at this place. I guess the night shift coming in. But ain't nobody, everybody out there that was dressed just to enjoy themselves. Period, point blank. Nobody came out there looking for trouble. When the brothers jumped off them boats with their shirts off, pulling up their shorts and skipping towards that pontoon boat, that's our way of letting you know, since I had to take my shirt off and I gotta skip towards you, some hands getting thrown. Ain't coming to talk. For those of you who haven't seen, one of the guys that got beat up posted a video of himself with 2 black eyes, his nose all messed up, and he said that 65-year-old man can go. To me, this was a coward act. This was a cowardice fucking ambush, and it didn't turn out right. I went on several different news channels around the country and just watched. I told you I've been on a lot of the different people's YouTubes and just read the comments and watched. I'm calling it an ambush because that's what it was. You ain't even got to tell me about Detroit. You ain't even got to tell me about Detroit. I've been to Detroit. And 2003 was my first time going to Detroit. I ain't never seen so much bulletproof glass in my life, so I know what they do in Detroit. Now, I was with a teammate that was from there. He took me all around, so I was all on 8 Mile and Schaefer Road and all these other places. I know it's a lot different now from then. You're right about that, Eric. They fucked around and found out. And this didn't even have to happen. The security guard presented himself as non-fucking threatening to them. He's talking to this guy, and this guy's escalating, and he's just telling him, you can't park there. And as he's doing that, his little buddy fucking gets a sneak shot in, and when he turns around and starts tussling, the rest of them that was hiding come out. This was a planned fucking attack. If anybody should be going to jail, it should be the original 6 that started the whole shit. Because when you see the full video, they got in position to pull this fucking stunt. You know, I don't ever advocate for no law-abiding citizen to go out and start shit with people. That's why me and everybody else that do this in YouTube constantly tell you, go the other way. Hey man, try and avoid stuff. Try and avoid problems. We not out here promoting violence. We don't do that. We don't promote violence. I promote self-defense. And I'm gonna tell you, the reason I wanted to wait a couple days, well, I didn't do it last night or Sunday once I first seen it, was I wanted to see what else was gonna come out. Because I've watched Monday morning a couple news outlets try to put it like it was a mutual combat thing, and a couple of them try to put it out there like Well, it was just mutual combat, and that was just that. Then a few of them kind of went to the racial and talk about it allegedly. And then yesterday evening, I saw the wide shot when the guys actually walked up to the security guard and how the whole thing started. And that's what I was more concerned with. Thanks, we got 11 likes up in here. When you come in, hit the like button. I would definitely love that. This just help boost the algorithm here on YouTube. Welcome to the alert zone if you're new to it. You're in the incinerator right now. This is the live stream, Insense and Common Sense live stream that we do in the alert zone. And the chat, we call it the incinerator. So, we got our incense definitely smoking. You know, that's a part of what we do here. Here from Gun Freak Nation. Man, thank you. I appreciate your sub, man. I appreciate your sub. We got 13 likes. Thanks to everybody, man. Thanks to everybody that's showing up. You know, this, in my lifetime, I'm 43 years old. If I live to see the end of this month, I'll make 44. In my lifetime, this has been one of the first times I can recall where an incident happened like this. Well, you know, social media is out now. And a lot of white folks from places you never would have guessed coming out and saying they got what they fucking deserved. Oh, thanks. I'm sure trying to make it to August the 27th. And I've seen the different comments from people in places that I never thought would agree with this, saying, hey man, they got what the fuck they deserve. You know what? Let me just go ahead on and discuss something while we just having this chat. Let me just go ahead on and drop something. The mainstream media in this country has created characters in everybody's mind of what we think every word should look like. We've become victims of images and not definitions. I'm the image of a thug, yet Bernie Madoff took hundreds of millions of dollars. That bastard is a definition of a thug, because I'm not a criminal. I haven't committed any crimes. I've never been convicted and sent to prison for a crime. If you looked it up in mainstream media, I would be the image of it. But by the definition, Bernie Madoff. The dudes who ran Enron in the fucking ground and crashed all those people's life savings. That's the definition. I just fit the image. People expect for a racist, yep, it's a stage theater. People expect that a person, a bigot, is gonna be somebody who's just walking up and down the street screaming nigga, 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 nigga. In today's life with social media, you hear all these people out here going overboard with that, like the woman in Target who had herself painted in blackface. Let me tell you something. I have sat down with active Klan members, used to work with them, 6 years, active Klan members. I've seen every Klan robe and I've touched them. The white, the black, the red, the blue, the purple, and the green. I've seen them all. I've sat down with people who have told me, I remember when the town's festivities for the week was going, watch to see a black person be hung. When they would come out there with the mason jars with the fucking embalming fluid in there. I've sat down with people who told me they can remember seeing that as a kid. In the South, especially in Louisiana, there's a saying. When you go to a neighborhood, back in the back roads, and that's where all the black people hang at around here. They point at the tree and say the last black person that hung around here hung from that tree. Most people that is into that lifestyle, they like the separation and they stay away from us and we stay away from them. The only time we get together is to do business on the job. Hello, how you doing? We do our job and go our separate ways. All these people you see running around here screaming nigga this and nigga that and nigga, those are not real hateful people. The real hateful people is the ones you don't see that really affect you. Those are the ones that you need to be worried about. All these people doing all this stage shit for likes and clicks on YouTube and Facebook and all this other craziness. I'm telling you. Pearl River, Mississippi is a hotbed. That's why they have theirs. Black folks have theirs. And they leave it like that. I'm speaking truth, right? Eric? Is that Eric Wyrick? I'm born and raised in New Orleans. I'm just telling it what it is. We have open hatred down there, and everybody deal with it accordingly. I grew up segregated. I grew up in a black neighborhood. White folks had their neighborhood. The Vietnamese moved away from us. I just might as well go ahead on and get it out the way. The Africans that they had in New Orleans, they moved away from us. Everybody was segregated and it was okay. We got along just fine. Mardi Gras time was about the only time we all put our differences aside, well, whites and blacks, to come together. Vida, Texas. Stay 10. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know about Vida. I done been through there. Vida, Jasper, Silsby. I used to pick up cardboard bales back in that area. Vida, Silsby, Jasper. I think it's another little small town over there. All right, shout out to Colorado. Yeah, I done been through Denver several times. Done been through Denver. Was that 25 and 17? The last time I came out of the Rocky Mountains, for those of you who don't know, when you come in east from California on Interstate 70, before you get to the city of Denver, you climb this mountain. And if it's at nighttime, you can really see it. You can see across the whole city. And you come down that last drop. And the second time I came down that last drop, I made it clear I would never do that shit again. I had 45,000 pounds of Corona and I went to Western Beverage in Denver. Shout out to Orange, Texas too. Orange, the Streak and Beacon. There's I believe it's a Flying J and a Blue Beacon truck wash. So I've been through Orange. I remember when they was doing all that work in Anahuac and all that, and we used to jump off in Highway 90 and go through Port Arthur and all that. Yeah, once I came out that mountain, I said I was never doing that shit again. Zulu Knight, what's going on? Appreciate you for stopping by. We appreciate you for following through. So, you know, when I talk about things here in the alert zone, I've been to Mexico. I've been to Canada. I've been to 46 out of 48 continental United States. Even though in Portland, I didn't really get to go around in Oregon like I wanted to. For the most part, I've been around. I've seen the Pacific Ocean. I've seen the Atlantic Ocean. Hell, I've even gotten the Gulf of Mexico once when I went down to Key West snorkeling. That's the clearest water I ever seen. I mean, it's like you can see damn near to the bottom of the fucking Gulf. You can see all the wildlife down there. It's so clear. From Maine to damn Otay Mesa, California. Shout out to my brother Eyes and Ears Tactical. Hit the like button when you come in here. Down there, Otay Mesa, for those of you who don't know. Otay Mesa, California is on the Mexican border. You can stand in Otay Mesa and look into Mexico. Those mountains right there is Mexico. From Brownsville to the top of Minnesota. Hell, I'll tell you guys something that I experienced that was like, to this day, I'm still kind of in awe. Man, I was in some small town in Alabama, man. I was with Swift and, seeing all these paper mills out in the middle of nowhere. I stopped at one of those little general stores to get me a Coca-Cola. This was like 2003. And a woman came up to me. She was an old woman, and her eyes got like big like basketballs. And she looked at me. And she asked me because she touched me because she had never seen a black person in person before. Man, I took off running out of that fucking store. Scared the shit out of me. That was my first time of understanding how mainstream media's propaganda created the world we live in. Because I didn't think there was people that had never been around black people before. Especially in the South. And she was an old woman. She had never been around us. This is why this whole thing about us protecting ourselves, why you hear so many people, when you see us protecting ourselves, jump up saying, well, he could have let it go. He should have just went his own way or this or that. Because they've been brainwashed to think that we can't ever protect ourselves. Because we're always the aggressor. Yeah. I mean, hell, I've been to West Virginia. And I've seen the fucking hills have eyes. I've seen that shit. I've seen Hillbilly Jim standing out there with a fucking jumper on, with no shoes, a fucking brown hat, and all you can see all the hair in his face, and about 3 teeth in his mouth. I've seen them motherfuckers out there in West Virginia. Y'all want to talk about some poor people? Some people that's damn near medieval looking? So when you hear those, I'll tell you guys another story. I know this is not what I came on here for, story time, but I just might as well tell y'all, since I've seen a lot of the country, probably off the highway, a lot of people that's traveled the country, you go to vacation destinations or to a particular person's house or what have you. But, driving a truck, you go in some places that you just be in awe. I went to Western Sizzling in West Virginia. And Western Sizzling, I'm not sure if they're still around, have a buffet. And I decided to stop one night at Western Sizzling because I got loaded in West Virginia. And me and another driver. And we were sitting down having dinner. And I kept looking around and I kept seeing all these mongoloids. Kept seeing these mongoloids. I was wondering to myself, the hell, they must have some kind of a bus outside that I didn't see. Finally, our waitress came by like 3 times and I asked her, I said, can I ask you a question? She said, yeah. I said, I don't want to be offensive, and she started laughing as soon as I said that. I said, why is there so many mongoloids? She said, you didn't hear about West Virginia? I said, what about? She said, these people are inbreds. She said, there's a lot of inbreeding here. And I told her, when I was in trucking school, I heard these West Virginia jokes, but I thought they was just jokes. She said, no, that's real. Outside of Charleston, Bluefield, and like maybe 1 or 2 other places, West Virginia is nothing but the Appalachian Mountains. Those people that live in them damn mountains, them hillbillies, they haven't seen outsiders in decades. That's why you look around on the internet, you see so many of them, they're inbred. But back to my original thought. With this whole Alabama ambush, something else has came up. Jason Aldean came up. And this try that in a small town. I haven't personally heard the song. I've heard a piece of it. When I kept hearing about this the uproar, I wanted to see what the uproar was about. And so I went and read what the uproar was about. And to my understanding, the uproar was about where he decided to film this video, because this courthouse in this video was supposed to be where a mob lynched a black guy for supposedly raping a white woman or looking at a white woman or whatever he did. And isn't it strange that this ambush happened in Montgomery, on the river, on the port where they used to sell black people? That is confirmed. Apparently everybody in Montgomery pretty much know, that riverfront dock is where they used to sell human cargo, right there on Commerce Street. Shout out to Tariq for pointing that out, bringing the receipts. They would march them up to Commerce Street and sell them. And I just thought that was wild. Now, I'm not going to criticize the try that in a small town because I haven't heard the song. But I know that the ruckus right now is partially about that also. Now, to update everybody on what that means, because some people, and me living in Iowa, basically exposed me to certain things that people may or may not know. Just having regular conversations with people that say, damn, I never thought about that. Well, we never had to deal with that, so I wouldn't have never guessed it. In America, small town means white folks. Just like hood means black folks. Good old boys mean white. Just like thugs mean black. So it's easy to see why some people got upset about that song. When we hear All American Boy, they always show you somebody white. When we hear small town, country town, hick town, backwoods, that's used to describe white people. When we hear ghetto, hood, the spot, where it go down, we always envision black people. Now, I've heard the memes of and seen the things of them saying, yeah, they fucked around and found out and they tried that shit to small town and it didn't work and what have you. Let me say this to everybody. Every law-abiding citizen in this country has the right to protect him or herself. You also have the natural right of being born to protect yourself. But let's just keep it legal. We all have the right to protect ourselves. I mean, down to the people who hang out on 4chan, Reddit, Twitch, Stormfront, and the rest of those switches. They have the right to protect themselves. They haven't committed a crime. I don't have an issue with them being armed the way you keep them off you, and when they run up on you, you put that damn pistol on them. Period, point blank. You see, yesterday, over the weekend, the shit started that fucking fight. And then when the odds got even, they was throwing their fucking hands up and trying to run. Leave people the fuck alone. If somebody is not bothering you, don't fuck with them. We always say, you never know what they have. Now I'm going to address something that's going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm going to address it. Since we telling some truths in here. We telling the truth. Not my truth. The truth. Coming up at work, had two guys talk about George Floyd. One guy, American Indian, the other one, Mexican guy. What they said, I didn't agree with. Yeah. Because before I go any further, let me say this. All these people of color, they do the same shit. They do the same shit. These so-called minorities and people. I told you guys when I talked about the shootings in Detroit at the gas stations. We experience racial hostility from most non-white people than we do white folks. Most of us don't deal with white folks like that because we don't really live around them. The stores in the hood is owned by foreigners. Menace to society. By the way, Lee, I'm not deleting none of your messages. I'm not sure if it's doing it by themselves. But we always was taught something in the South. I can't say about everywhere else. We was always taught this. I'm talking to you white folk too. You need to listen. Anytime white folks approached us with hostility, it's only for two reasons. Either it's a bunch of them, or the motherfucker got something on them, and they trying to get you riled up. That guy punched that security guard this weekend because the plan was already set. He knew he had fucking backup. So he got brave. Now when the initial punch, the guy who threw the first punch, when the security guard got up and back on his feet and punched the piss out of him, that guy started running and threw his hands up. When the security guard said, okay, now you can't sneak me, let's fight, he didn't want to fight. I'm just telling you what was there. That's the way I was raised. We was always raised. If they're approaching you, it's because they have something or it's a bunch of them. That was all the things that we're told to shut up about, stop talking about, that don't fucking exist, that's all in y'all head, was all on display in that fucking video. If you watch the videos, they approached him, they set themselves up, they fucking jumped on him. When help showed up and the odds got even, they wanted to run. And when the police showed up, they tried to become the victims. Even though they was the shit starters. And believe me, had this shit not been on video and posted, oh, I can imagine what the call was. We got a brawl out here at the riverfront and there's a bunch of black folks. Because the police showed up and went straight to them. We have the right to self-defense too. That's the whole purpose of this live stream. When I seen what law enforcement did when they showed up, that prompted me to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead on and talk about this. Because they can't dispute the evidence in the mainstream media, now they just calling it a brawl. I'm calling it an ambush because that's what the fuck it was. If it wasn't an ambush, I wouldn't be saying that. You guys have never, ever heard me championing beating up on innocent people. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in going around doing that kind of fucking stupid shit. I've never promoted that. Yeah, when I was younger, I was rowdy and riled up. And we got into that kind of shit with people that knew it was mutual. This what it was. I've seen people from around the world comment on this. This video has made worldwide attention. Around the world. You see, we living in an age now where everybody has a camera. There's cameras everywhere. There's no such thing as a crime that can be committed without a camera seeing. Remember Carly Rae? Carly Russell pulled her disappearance, and they knew all along she was fucking lying because they had cameras on the fucking interstate, and they saw her come home. There is cameras every fucking where. Everywhere you go now, ain't no such thing as committing a crime and they can't find out who you are. Cameras are everywhere. It's just this time, the citizens had control of the cameras and could put the whole story out there and not bits and fucking pieces. So you gotta call it a brawl, because to call it an ambush would be too much like fucking right. That's why I called it an ambush. A brawl is mutual. A brawl is a whole bunch of tension that leads up to something. A brawl is not sneaking on somebody 6-on-1. That's not a fucking brawl. That's a fucking coward attack. It's a fucking ambush. And the video showed that they got in fucking place to ambush this guy. It just didn't turn out like it used to. That's the only difference this time. Believe me, if they thought in their mind that would have turned out like what it did yesterday, they wouldn't have pulled it. I'm going to address another group of people while I'm here. While you ain't here, hit the likes button. We got 15 likes on here. I'm seeing 13 people. Hit the likes button. Get them likes up. While I'm addressing something, let me go ahead on and say this. We black folks, I'm going to tell you what our part in this has been. Since we walked off the fucking plantation, we've been terrorized. From 1863 to 1877, we built 60 towns. All we asked to be was left alone. The reparations talk you hear about now, we didn't ask for that when we walked off the plantations. All we said is we'll figure it out. Just leave us the fuck alone. That's fine. Our church has been getting bombed since we walked off the fucking plantation. Our neighborhood's been getting burned down. And every time we rebuild, we refuse to put the proper security up. Every time we became victims of some kind of violence, all we did was shout for Jesus and pray to the Lord. And we didn't put work behind our faith. We always get up there and forgive people, non-black people, because we don't forgive black folks. Dylan Roof, the bodies hadn't even been fucking identified, and the family was up there, the families of the survivors talking about we forgive him at his fucking arraignment, saying they didn't feel nothing, and if they had to, they'd do it all over again. When you do that kind of fucking shit, you'll make all of us out of targets. So I'm gonna tell you right now, you guys can go back and YouTube this or whatever. We had a case a couple years ago in Iowa. This young girl, a young lady, Molly Tibbert or Twibbert, I hope I'm saying her name right, was kidnapped and murdered. They searched all over for her and they found her body in a cornfield. They went and reviewed the video and found that it was a Mexican national that killed this woman. I remember being at work. I remember this clear as day. They was having a live visual for her at the Catholic church. And the Catholic priest got up there talking that forgiveness shit, and them young white kids jumped up there and took him the microphone and told him, we don't want to hear that forgiveness shit. We want blood. We can think about forgiveness later. We want blood. That guy got the death penalty. They made it clear we want his fucking head. In Sutherland, Texas, when that guy went in that fucking church and aired the place out and killed all them people, it was a neighbor who went and got his AR-15 and chased that bastard down and put him out his misery. Right then and there, the state of Texas and white folks mobilized and said, we are passing a law to be armed in church. The next one tried that. He got one parishioner, but the church people put him down. What's going on, Naturally Toasty? Appreciate you. Hit the likes. Thanks for tapping in. When that white guy drove from Dallas, Texas to El Paso to Walmart and shot up all them people, when he made it clear, I picked that Walmart because I knew it's a lot of Mexicans, you know what happened? Mexicans didn't jump up there talking about that forgiveness crap. Across the country, they went and got their fucking carry permits and went buying guns. I was in the gun stores watching them. I'm married to a Mexican woman, so I know what I'm talking about. The Latino community got armed. They said, fuck this shit. This ain't gonna happen again. Damn near 200 years later, and we got Negroes out here in the midst of this stuff making up excuses, talking about pray. Oh, y'all can't be out there acting like that? What the fuck? We gotta continue being everybody sitting ducks? What's going on, Azrael Abir? Was it Malik? I hope I didn't screw your name up too bad. Yeah, you're right. There is good and bad in all communities. I'm not saying that it's not. What I'm saying is every other group responds to the threat immediately and say this is not going to happen again. While we still got people dealing with that, that really bothered me. That first all the police took Dylan Roof to damn Burger King. And then the family of the victims came by talking about prayer. And we pray for you. What? After a mass slaughter like this? You pray in the privacy of your home. When you get up there talking that forgiveness crap, you make targets out of the rest of us. Because when black folks accost other people that's not black, and they sit them on death row or the electric chair or whatever, we not up there saying, oh, you should let them go. No, we saying fry his ass. He committed a crime, lock him up, burn him up, do whatever you're gonna need to do. And everybody else ain't jumping up and down talking about that forgiveness crap either. That's right. Jesus said, sell your cloaks to buy a sword. And these days, damn it, you sell your Gucci to buy you a damn Glock. You're right about that. If prayer worked, this wouldn't keep happening. So, you know, like I said, the gist of why I wanted to do this was I paid attention to law enforcement's response, and the response was to grab us first, even though we weren't the aggressor. Because that whole thing of we don't have the right to protect ourselves. On paper, we do. But if in literal sense that were true, black guy with a gun wouldn't get so many of us killed. Me being legally armed at any time, driving down the street, walking down the street in public, minding my business, somebody can call and tell the police I got a gun. And they can pull up on me, and it can turn out to be a big old thing. And the mere fact that I have a gun can possibly get me arrested. Because the first thing they can say is, well, how does this person know you have a gun if they didn't see it? They can say I flashed something I didn't flash. To everybody out there, I got white folks that subscribe to this channel that engage with me. I got Hispanics. I think I got Asians. I got whites. I got black. This channel is for everybody. But I have to always tell the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the truth is uncomfortable, but it have to be told. I don't like telling other people, especially black folks, that you can go get legally armed and your problems is all going to be over with. Because I would be setting you up to go to prison or to the graveyard. I like to tell you guys, you have to be careful. You have to choose your battles, and you have to think once you're legally armed, you got more laws against you being legally armed than the criminals do. So you have to keep yourself out of situations, if possible, where you have to defend yourself. Just like I said, Timmins Grove is a public hunting land. I just decided it's best not to go back there. Even though it's public hunting land and I haven't done anything to anybody, the mere fact that I may have to defend myself in a place where basically it's my word against them, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to be on trial for what a bunch of people that don't look like me. And I'll be second guessing myself saying, you know what? I knew eventually this was going to happen. Why didn't I just stop going? I just stopped going over there just to keep the peace, man. I've been accosted too many times out there. I've had too many people pull up on me. And I just thought it was just, I have to practice what I preach. It's just best to just go somewhere where I'm safe than it is to go out there and something happen. Because I have people that love me too. I have loved ones too. I have children and grandchildren too. And I don't want to get my life cut short. Yeah. So, you know, I just wanted to put it out there that we have the rights to self-defense just like everybody else. We're not this group of people that get paraded around on the news that we just running around looking for people to jump on and kick. We don't, the majority of us don't do that. It's a small handful, like every group. The small handful that goes around and cuts and starts all this bullshit. In closing, let me say this. The sad part about what happened on that pier is it's not over. That's the sad part. There's going to be possibly all kinds of retaliations behind this. The people that started to that, you don't know how well connected to law enforcement they are. Law enforcement in the area that saw that video, those videos have been seen worldwide. Let me just say this. Leave people the fuck alone. Stop running up on people because you think you got the advantage on them, because you don't know. Now, what if that security guard would have pulled the piece out and started shooting? The sentiment would have been why he just didn't point the gun at them and hold them till the police got there. Because he was well within his rights to do that. That was a fucking ambush. Anybody that's hearing the incinerator or anybody that sees this later, I'm me. Uncle James is asking you to do one thing. Let's start calling this an ambush. Call it what it was. Stop calling it a brawl. This wasn't a brawl. This was a fucking ambush. Brawls is what you see at the fucking baseball games and the soccer games. Dudes on the corner shooting dice and then start brawling with each other. A brawl is not 6 people getting together to jump on one person and then say, oh, this is a brawl. I disagree. Prayer does work. However, if you don't put the, I already said that faith without works is not good. Because when they was on their knees praying for Dylan Roof to not shoot them, they didn't have no gun to help that prayer. So yeah, I didn't say nothing against prayer. I said faith without works. So all black folks want to do is pray. But we don't never, that's right. They was mobsters. As they say, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. What happened on that pier, that was a gang of thugs because they did the actual definition of thugging. Going to jump somebody. That's an activity. That's where the word thug Barack Obama should have been out here screaming the word thug. He ain't said nothing. To everybody that decided to show up tonight that had the time, I really, really, really appreciate y'all taking the time out to jump on the live stream with us. You're right, prayers and pistols. I really, really appreciate y'all stopping by. Y'all will never know how much this means to me. If it's your first time stopping by Incense and Common Sense, the live stream that we do here in the Alert Zone, welcome. If it's your first time discovering this channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, with all so you can be notified when we drop fruitful fire content. Make sure you like, comment, share. If you are 18 years of age and are able to be legally armed in America, practice your Second Amendment rights. It is not illegal under the Constitution. I really, really enjoyed just putting my 2 cents on this. Yeah, that's right. Guns and Journey. Guns and Journey. Yeah, I remember you. Shout out to Guns and Journey. As a matter of fact, shout out to you. Because you was talking about getting, I believe, the congregation and your family on. Shout out to Guns and Journey. Shout out to my brother T Electric. Shout out to Eyes and Ears Tactical. Shout out to Lee. Shout out to Eric. Shout out to, was it Leslie, the main? Shout out to everybody that fell through. Definitely shout out to a regular gun guy, Fat Guys with Guns, My Fly Family, The Honest Outlaw, Autumn's Armory, Hickok 45, the Yankee Marshall, Locks and Loaded, Yoki, Black Rambo, anybody else I forgot, because it's just so many of us out here now. Shout out to everybody that's out here doing this, but definitely, shout out to the people that take the time to view what goes on here. You guys and girls are the most important, because without y'all, there is no Alert Zone. It would just be me up. Take care of yourself out there. Practice your Second Amendment rights. Remember, we for doing the right thing here. When we say righteous, we mean righteous as leaving people the fuck alone and minding your business. Not going out starting shit because you're legally armed. That's what we mean here. Till next time, everybody out there, once again, shout out to the president, T Electric. Once again, shout out to the state of Florida. We did this on location. Until next time, everybody out there, stay safe, stay armed, stay on high alert. The incinerator is closed.